At 6 a.m., three men in dark uniforms pounded on our front door, barking eviction orders like they were on some kind of tactical raid. My 15-year-old daughter, Ava, froze on the stairs, her face pale, her body shaking. My wife, Lauren, didn't move, her eyes locked on the door like a predator had stepped into her den. Those men had no idea what they just walked into. Lauren wasn't some suburban housewife. She trained elite combat units for a living. And those fake cops were about to find out exactly how badly they'd underestimated us. 3 years ago, Pine Hill Meadows was a quiet, ordinary neighborhood. That changed the day Victor Ramsey took over the HOA. He was a failed financial analyst with a big ego and a hunger for control. My name is Eric Dawson. I'm a 45-year-old remote software engineer who spent most of his life solving problems with logic, not confrontation. Lauren was the muscle of our family, though she'd never boast about it. Ava inherited her mother's fire and my knack for systems. Together, we'd built a good life until Victor decided we didn't fit his vision of suburban perfection. It started subtly. Our elderly neighbor, Helen Brooks, knocked one evening, her voice low. "Victor's rewriting HOA regulations without votes. He's targeting families like yours." I thanked her, but didn't take it seriously. That was my first mistake. The second sign came days later. Ava found posts online accusing us of running a militia out of our backyard. In reality, Lauren ran a licensed tactical training program for military and law enforcement, perfectly legal and fully permitted. Victor twisted it into fear-mongering. Then one evening, we caught a man with a buzz cut and a telephoto lens snapping photos through our fence. We later ID'd him as Darren Ramsey, Victor's cousin, fired from a security firm for excessive force. The next day, someone tried hacking into our security system. I traced the attempt back to an IP we later linked to Darren. "This isn't HOA harassment anymore," Lauren said, calm but deadly serious. "They're gathering intel. We need to prepare." Ava brought us a list of residents being fined for bogus violations. It was a pattern: modest homes, long-time residents, all being pressured. Then came our notice: $15,000 in fines for Lauren's training facility. Violation of new regulations that hadn't gone through a legal vote. 30 days to pay or face a lien on our house. It was extortion dressed up in legalese. Victor had a plan. A contact from my days in city planning tipped me off. Elite Haven Properties wanted to bulldoze Pine Hill Meadows and replace it with luxury condos. They needed 75% homeowner approval. Victor stood to make 6 figures in consulting fees for each batch of homes sold. Suddenly, everything made sense. We talked to Frank Ellis, our neighbor and a retired detective who ran a private security firm. "I've had my eye on Victor," Frank said. "Something about him stinks. Let me dig." Lauren and I started compiling everything. Fake violations, shady surveillance, connections to shell companies. At a packed HOA meeting called by Victor, they tried to humiliate us, projecting blurry, illegally obtained photos of Lauren's training sessions. He accused us of endangering the community. I stood up and calmly laid out every permit, business license, and regulation they'd violated. Residents began murmuring. Some even stood with us. For the first time, Victor looked rattled. But he wasn't finished. A week later, the door pounding started. 3 men in police uniforms. Fake badges. A forged eviction notice citing code violations. Ava ran into our room, terrified. Lauren activated what she called Protocol Delta. The SEAL team she was training that morning repositioned silently in our backyard. I stalled at the door while she alerted Frank. I cracked the door, keeping the chain on. Darren stood there, smirking. "You've got 60 minutes to vacate." I took the paper, pretending to examine it. It was good county seal, signatures, legal language, but the judge listed didn't exist. The badge numbers were wrong. Their posture was all wrong. "I'll need to verify this," I said. Darren snapped, trying to push the door open. The chain strained. I pushed back with everything I had. Ava screamed from the stairs. Just as the wood began to splinter, a commanding voice boomed. "Federal agents. Hands where we can see them." Lights flashed. Lauren and 4 SEALs in tactical gear surrounded the imposters. Police cruisers followed seconds later. The raid had been live-streamed through our system. Darren and the others were arrested on the spot, impersonating law enforcement, attempted forced entry. The look on Darren's face when they cuffed him? Priceless. Security footage showed Victor dropping the fake officers off 20 minutes earlier. He tried to claim ignorance, But Darren was already flipping to save himself. Victor was done. Residents rallied. Stories of harassment poured in. Fines for dead grass, mailbox colors, invisible offenses, all targeting holdouts who hadn't sold. We called a neighborhood meeting and presented everything: financial ties to Elite Haven, forged documents, altered minutes. Victor tried to deny it all. Then Helen handed me a flash drive. 3 years of recordings, she said. He thought I was just an old lady. The final straw came days later. Ava received an anonymous text with a photo of her walking home from school. Tell your parents to stop. This is war. We filed a police report. That changed everything. This wasn't about property anymore. This was about our daughter's safety. Sophia Green, Victor's real estate partner, panicked and agreed to testify. He's got files on everyone, she confessed. Medical records, finances, blackmailing the neighborhood. Frank confirmed Victor had done this before in 2 other neighborhoods. Always just within the law. Until now. That night, we set a trap. We got a court order to freeze HOA funds. When Victor tried to move money to an offshore account, we had cameras rolling. Then he tried one last break-in, this time alone, through our back door. Frank and 2 SEALs were waiting. Victor Ramsey, step away from the door. He pulled out a flash drive. This has a video of your wife leaking classified information. 1 email, and she's done. Lauren stepped into the light. We have every keystroke you've made, she said, including the software you used to fake that video. Then came a surprise. James Ramsey, Victor's estranged son and a police officer, stepped forward. Dad, this has to stop. Victor's bravado crumbled. He ran. Didn't get far. Held down not by justice warriors, but by neighbors who'd had enough. Victor was arrested for conspiracy, embezzlement, and impersonation. Sophia lost her license. Darren took a plea deal. Helen was voted in as HOA president. Lauren now teaches free self-defense to residents. Ava is helping neighbors set up online security systems. Me? I finally found my voice. I learned that sometimes the quiet guy behind the keyboard can roar when it matters. And if you're facing your own HOA tyrant, document everything, build alliances, and remember this. No one expects the housewife to command a SEAL team. But sometimes, the safest house is the one with a warrior in the backyard.